ते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरये। नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी। कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकी नंदनाय च नंदगोपकुमाराय गोविंदाय नमो नमः। Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 7, Chapter 1. There's a series of verses which don't have purports from 38 to 44. We'll just recite 43. So we'll just recite 43. Tam sarvabhutatma bhutam prashantam samadarshanam भगवत्तेजसा स्पृष्टं नाश्नोदन्तुम् उद्यमे। तं सर्वभूतात्मभूतं प्रशान्तं समदर्शनम् भगवत्तेजसा स्पृष्टं नाशक्नोदन्तुमुद्यमे। तं सर्वभूतात्मभूतं प्रशान्तं समदर्शनं भगवत्तेजसा स्पृष्टं नाशक्नोदन्तुमुद्यमे। तं सर्वभूतात्मभूतं तं सर्वभूतात्मभूतं। Translation. The Lord, the super soul of all living entities, Sarva Bhut Atma Bhutam, Tam means the Lord, is sober, peaceful and equal to everyone. Prashantam Sama Darshanam. Since the great devotee Prahlāda was protected by the Lord's potency, Bhagavat Tejasa Sprishtam, Hiranyakashipu was unable to kill him in spite of endeavoring to do in so many ways. Na Shakno Dhantum Uddame. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. In this verse, the word Sarva Bhutatma Bhutam is very significant. Ishvara Sarva Bhutanam Riddheshi Arjuna Tushtati. The Lord is equally situated in the core of everyone's heart. Thus, He cannot be envious of anyone or friendly to anyone. For Him, everyone is the same. Although He sometimes seen to punish someone, this is exactly like a father's punishing his child for the child's welfare. The Supreme Lord's punishment is also a manifestation of Lord's equality. Therefore, the Lord is described as Prashantam Samadarshanam. Although the Lord has to execute his will properly, he is equiposed in all circumstances. He is equally disposed towards everyone. Om Ajnanatimrandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatham Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Bhashyatya Deshatarini. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute. Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye. Vancha Kalpatarubhyasya Kripa Sindhubhya evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So welcome to all the devotees for this morning Srimad Bhagavatam class. I am extremely honored and grateful for being present here at this wonderful temple, Shri Narsimha Giridhari temple. Today we are speaking from the Srimad Bhagavatam 7th canto, chapter 1, the series of verses from 38 to 43. So I was told to speak on this topic, but I requested that we should discuss about the holy name, and I'll connect that to the verse under discussion. I'll just give a brief overview of what is happening in this section, and then how this is very much related to our chanting. So the Srimad Bhagavatam has 10 topics. Atra Sarga Visargasya Stanam Poshanam Utaya Manvantara Ishanugata Mukti Nirod Ashraya. And Sarga means the primary creation which is dealt in the 3rd canto. Visarga is the secondary creation of Brahma through his progeny, populates this universe. So Visarga is there in the 4th canto. Sthanam is how the living entities are given accommodation in this 14 planetary system. So the geography of this universe is described in the 5th canto especially. Of course, the genealogy of the first Manu, Swayambhu Manu, is also discussed as part of the 5th canto, because Swayambhu Manu and Shatarupa had 3 daughters and 2 sons. Devahuti, Akuti and Prasuti, and Uttanapad and Priyavrat. So Priyavrat's genealogy is discussed, the glorious activities of Priyavrat, and then Rishabdev, and then King Bharat. But Sthanam is described, the whole cosmology of this universe, Sukdev Goswami describes. And then if you see, there is a detour. The Bhagavatam, there is a chronological flow which is happening of description of the genealogy of the family descendants of Swayambhu Manu, the first Manu who rules the first day of Brahma. In the day of Brahma, there are 14 Manus who rule from morning 6 to evening 6. That is the day. Aha. And the night is again, 12 hours where, the living entities are inactive. So, in this one day of Brahma, there are 14 Manus, and the first Manu is Swayambhu Manu. Swayambhu Manu and his wife is Shatarupa. So, Swayambhu Manu's genealogy is being described. Actually, if you see the whole chronology of the Bhagavatam describes the events which happen in one day of Brahma. In just one day of Brahma, what are the events which happen? So, right from the 3rd canto to the 12th canto, the 14 Manus who rule and the great devotees, the great kings who are coming in these genealogy family are discussed, and also the avatars who manifest and perform their pastimes. Simultaneously, that is also discussed. So Sukdev Goswami has been narrating the genealogy of Swayambhu Manu. He has narrated Devhuti's pastimes in the 3rd canto, and the Lord appeared as Kapil Dev. And in the 4th canto, he starts narrating about the other daughters of Swayambhu Manu, that is Akuti and Prasuti, in brief. In the 4th canto, he narrates that, and there was, one of the daughters was given to Daksha, and there was a conflict between Daksha and Shiva. So the Daksha Shiva pastime is narrated. And then he goes on to narrate the activities of King Uttanapad. And Uttanapad's son was Dhruva. So the Dhruva Charitra is discussed quite in detail there. And then later on, there is King Anga, whose notorious son was Vena. His activities are discussed. And then the Prachetas. And the 5th canto, there is Priyavrata. So Priyavrata genealogy is discussed practically till the end of 6th canto. Then only at the 5th canto, at the end of 5th canto, after describing the description of the hellish planet and how the living entities suffer in these hellish planets, Parikshit Maharaj's heart is filled with compassion, and he asks how these people can be saved from hell. And in that context, the discussion goes on a detour where the life of Ajamil is discussed just by chanting the holy names. Not only that he was saved from going from hellish planets for his sinful activities, but he was able to return back to Vaikuntha. So the topic of discussion in the 6th canto is Poshanam. Tad Anugraha. Tad Anugraha. How the Lord bestows his causeless mercy to his devotees. And Ajamil is saved from the clutches of Yamadutas. And the further pastimes also, if you see, what to speak, the Lord being partial to, his devotees. Even the Lord is sometimes partial to his mixed devotees, like Indra. The pastimes come in the 6th canto. Indra, is protected by the Lord there. So in that context, after hearing at the end of 6th canto, Parikshit Maharaj understands the deep import of the discussions, but he is asking these questions for the others. Arey, what is this? The Lord seems to be partial. He favors the Devatas and he doesn't favor the Asuras. It looks like that the Lord is partial. So the whole chapter is how the Supreme Lord is equal to everyone. Samoham sarva bhuteshu. So Samoham sarva bhuteshu, Bhagavad Gita 9.29 I think it is, right? Samoham sarva bhuteshu, the Lord in the form of Paramatma is equal to everyone. But ye bhajante to mam bhaktya. But one who worships him, in his Bhagwan feature he is not neutral. He shows favor. So basically, it's not that Indra, Krishna is showing favor. Indra is in the mode of goodness. The Devas in the mode of goodness. And the Asuras in the mode of ignorance. So it is basically the effect of the modes which are happening there. And whichever the mode is prominent, accordingly, things work. But ultimately we see, the Lord is showing partiality. So in this context, Parikshit Maharaj is asking the questions. It seems like the Lord is partial. Kindly, dispel my doubts. And in order to answer this, Sukdev Goswami narrates, that this conversation about your questions was asked by Narad to Yudhishthira. So he goes to Yudhishthira and Narad Samvad within that. And Yudhishthira saw that Shishupal was killed and Shishupal entered the body of Lord Krishna. And he put forth these questions which come in the previous verses. And he's also asking, it looks like, how is it that Shishupal was so envious, but yet he merged in the body of the Lord. He attained Sayujya. Sayujya means merging in the body of the Lord. But here the deeper purport is what? That actually he attained reunion. Sayuj. He attained reunion with the Lord. So how is it? So the 7th canto basically is speaking about Uti. Uti means karvamasanas. How because of certain kind of karma vasanas, we are propelled to do either divine activities which take us towards liberation or demonic activities which will degrade us to the lower species of life. So that is Uti, that is the subject matter of the 7th canto. And in the 7th canto, this subject of Uti is described by two extreme examples. Two extreme examples. One is of Prahlāda Maharaj, who is Vyavasayatmika Buddhi Ekehi Kurunandana. And the other extreme example is Hiranyakashipu, who is Bhoga Aishwarya Prasaktana. So these two extremes are discussed. And Srimad Bhagavatam 7th canto from chapter 1 to 10 discuss this whole pastime in the form of Uti, karma vasanas, based on the divine qualities of Prahlāda and the demonic qualities of Hiranyakashipu. And then Narad Yudhishthira Samvad continues that how for us who are born in this world, how we can cultivate these divine qualities through Varnashram. And that's why the remaining 5 chapters whole discuss about how by Varnashram we can imprint these, good samskars by which we are, we can take to the path of liberation. So 5 chapters discuss about the whole Varnashram. That is what in essence is in the 7th canto discussion overview, if you see. Now, generally in Kali Yuga, these samskars or vasanas, karma vasanas, today in this age to implement Varnashram is very difficult. But what we can implement is Daivi Varnashram. And this Daivi Varnashram is meant because the Yuga Dharma ultimately is to chant the holy names, by which we can purify the heart of all these samskars. And the only effective process is the chanting of the holy names which can purify the samskars. Chaito darpana marjana. So not only, yesterday we were having a discussion with the brahmacharis there in Jagannath temple, that what to speak about Naam. Naam, when we speak, it is Shuddha Naam. Even the mere reflection of the name, Namabhas, can destroy the sinful reactions for which we have to suffer. It destroys the propensity to commit sin, and it destroys the root cause of why we commit, actions in order to enjoy and actually in turn actually suffer, and the root cause is avidya. So Shuddha Bhakti destroys what? It destroys papam, bijam and avidya altogether. And this happens to the chanting of the holy name. So I'm just going to, cut short the discussion, because ultimately the Yuga Dharma is to chant the holy names. And the whole Bhagavatam, if you see, right from the beginning, in the first canto, first chapter, the glories of the holy name are discussed. Which is the verse in the first canto, first chapter, which prescribes the process of, the highest process of the chanting of the holy name? Anyone knows? Apannam samsrutim bhoram yannama vivashogana sadhya vimuchate yad bhibeti swayam bhayam. And then the end of the Srimad Bhagavatam also, Nama Sankirtanam Sarva Papa Pranashanam. So like that, if you see in the Srimad Bhagavatam, the chanting of the holy glories of the holy name are discussed. So as I was mentioning, this is the potency of the holy name. And just like by the Lord's Teja, the Lord's Teja was protecting Prahlāda. It is mentioned, Bhagavat Tejasa Sprishtam Na Shaknot Dhantum Uddami. So if we chant the holy names, the Lord will protect us. And especially one who chants the Shuddha Naam, he is always protected. So our goal is to chant the holy name in such a way that we can attract the attention of the Lord. And chanting has three different stages. Actually, there is Naam always. Naam is Naam, and Naam is always pure. Purna Shuddho Nitya Mukto Abhinnatvam Nama Nami. But while chanting, or even while hearing Srimad Bhagavatam or Gita, if we are not attentive, then while taking the name or while hearing the name, then we commit what is called as offense. So there is Naam Aparadh, and there is something called as offensive hearing and offenseless hearing. How many of you have heard this offenseless hearing term? How many of you have heard? Prabhupada speaks about it in the verse to Shrunotam Sukata Krishna. Punya Shravana Kirtana. Ridhantastoya Bhadrani Vidunoti Surit Satam. So when we don't hear the message of the Srimad Bhagavatam with attention, then that is offensive hearing. Only by offenseless hearing, then the messages, the potent messages of the Lord enter the heart. And the Lord who is seated in the heart, he sees that he is attentive. Then he, being Surit Sadam, he will cleanse the heart. Chaito Darpan Marjana. So similarly, when we chant the holy name, if we don't attentively hear the holy name, then the purification of the heart will not happen. Will not happen. So it is very important. That's why we chant the holy names very attentively. So I'm just going to present now in the remaining part of this discussion. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur in his Harinam Chintamani has brought out this, that The name is always pure, but if it is not chanted attentively or if it is chanted with different misconceptions, then the name will not show its potency. So he speaks about Namaprad, Namabhas, and then Shuddhanam. And only by Shuddhanam, chanting the pure holy names, one can attain Krishna Prem. If one chants the holy name offensively, that means not with 100% attention, that is, if is one committing Namaprad, then as Chaitanya Charitamrita says, Bahu Janma Yadi Kare Shravana Kirtan Tabu na paive Krishna Prema dhan. Because we are infected with the offenses. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur in his Sri Harinam Chintamani discusses in detail the 10 offenses to the holy name. And he devotes one chapter for each of the offense. And then there's a root of all offenses, that is inattention while chanting, which is called as Namaprad Pramad. And he devotes an entire chapter on this Namaprad Pramad, which is called as inattention while chanting. So I'm just going to now summarize what is this Namaprad Pramad. So I'll just go through the slides. So I'm just giving an introduction to what exactly constitutes an offense. What exactly constitutes an offense? So what Prabhupada has to say about it? So Prabhupada says, you chant Hare Krishna and hear also Hare Krishna. This is the process. What is the process? You chant what? Hare Krishna. And then you hear what? Hare Krishna. But you might hear something else also. Yes or no? What do you hear? When instead of hearing Hare Krishna only, you might hear something else. What do you hear? What do you hear? What do we hear? Well, we can chant the Hare Krishna, vibrate the mantra with our tongue, but we have to hear the mantra. And you have to only hear Hare Krishna. But we hear sometimes something else. So whose voice we hear instead of the Hare Krishna sound? What we hear? We hear the mind's voice. So when we hear the mind's voice, that means we don't hear the Hare Krishna mantra. We hear something else. That is the mind's voice. So when we hear that mind's voice, that means you have not heard the Hare Krishna mantra. That means you have committed a offense. So that what is in simple language? What exactly constitutes? Not that you are chanting Hare Krishna mechanically, but you are hearing something else. You are hearing something else. So what all we hear when you are chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, what all we hear the mind's voices? Anyone knows? Now it's more of a discussion. It's not like a regular Bhagavatam class. It's a workshop. You can contribute. What else you can hear? What you can hear? What are the different voices you hear while chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra? You're not having any experience of this? You're chanting Hare Krishna and so many other voices you're hearing. You don't know what are those voices? To-do list. What to do today? To-do list you hear, right? Then, what does the mind speak? Huh? Some attachments we have. Yeah. Then what else we hear? What else mind's voice we hear? Mind might say, I'm hungry or I'm thirsty, right? I might be specifically hungry for dosa or gulab jamun. So like that, the mind has 16 different voices. How many? 16 division of voices. And in each division there are unlimited thousands and millions. Like I mentioned, I'm hungry. This is the voice of the earth element, the Panch Mahabhut. Bhumi, Apo, Analo, Vayu, Kham. Earth, water, fire, air, ether. Right? These are 5 elements. And then you're chanting Hare Krishna, and I have experienced many devotees tell that after some time, the mind is saying, walk and chant. Because my legs are paining. You hear the mind's voice and you follow the mind's dictation and you start walking and chanting. You're completely an obedient, subservient servant of your mind. And you walk and chant. So there are the 5 karmendriyas and the 5 jnanendriyas. So we have this 15 layers, and then there is the mind itself, which is the 16th layer. So these 16 layers, there is the first layer, which is, what's happening? The first layer, which is the earth layer, that I am hungry. I am hungry. And I am hungry for gulab jamun, I am hungry for rasgulla, I am hungry for so many desires, unlimited desires. So this 16 divisions multiplied into thousands and millions. So unlimited voices of all our samskars and vasanas are there in the heart. And all these voices we hear. So when we hear any of these voices and don't hear the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, then that is what? Offense. This is what is Nama Prahlāda. We have to be very clear about it. If the mind is acting, if you're chanting mechanically, that means the mind is acting. That means you're not in the heart of the chanting. So this is what exactly constitutes offense. So all these unlimited samskars and vasanas are there. And the only process in Kali Yuga is to, chant the holy names and hear them attentively. Only when you hear, for you to hear the mantra which is vibrated by the tongue, from the tongue it has to enter the ear. Now it enters the physical ear, but this physical ear, there are 16 coverings covering the soul. The soul is the heart. We are speaking about the spiritual heart. So the spiritual heart has coverings of how many layers? 16 layers. And the mind, the mantra has to penetrate these 16 layers and enter the heart. And only when it enters the heart, Chaito Darpan Marjanam happens. Otherwise you vibrate the mantra. Instead of hearing the mantra, you hear the mind's voice, you commit offense. The mantra doesn't enter the heart. Chaito Darpanam Marjanam doesn't happen. That's why it's very, very rare, even in our 16 rounds of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, we hardly hear few names, not few rounds or few mantras. We hear few names. And that's why, the samskars, even after years and years of practice, samskars are still there. So, if we commit this offense of pramad, nama pramad, inattention while chanting, then Chaito Darpanam doesn't happen. And that's why Prabhupada says that is inattention, that is a offense. And then he says it will take some time. If you chant offensively, then it will take some time. How much time? It takes quite a long time. It takes quite a long time. Even to penetrate these gross layers of earth, water, fire, air and ether. And each of these layers are from grosser, they go to subtle. Even to penetrate the gross layers, it takes many, many years. And in this workshop, which is actually a 4-day workshop which we do, we discuss how, to penetrate the earth layer. So in chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, most important is we sit in a proper posture. Now we can understand if somebody is hearing very attentively just by seeing the person's posture. If you're feeling sleepy, what happens? Your body posture starts turning on the left or it starts going down. That means you are not able to hear attentively. So by bodily posture, sitting in proper asana, that is the sign that you are alert to hear the mantra. That's how you can penetrate the earthly layers. So it takes quite a long time to master, to hear attentively. So this is the first thing what Prabhupada is saying in his one of the lecture. Then Prabhupada says, then end attention while chanting the holy name. You should chant this Hare Krishna and you should hear also. You have to hear. If your mind is acting, the mind is somewhere else and you are chanting, oh, that is an offense. So if your mind is acting and you're conscious about your mind, then it is a offense. Even if you're conscious about your body, that your body is there, that is a deeper offense. What to speak if your mind, everyone is conscious that, the mind is there. I am dealing with the mind, right, all the time. But here Prabhupada is saying if the mind is also acting, then it is offense. So the simple sutra is that, we have this, well-known phenomena in this material world. When the lover is in love with the beloved, he has given the heart to the beloved. And they both are sitting in the garden. The lover is absorbed in the beauty of the beloved and the sweet words of the beloved because he has given his heart to the beloved. So when the heart is open, the mind is shut. He doesn't remember his to-do list. He forgets that he has to go to office also. Right? So when the heart is open, the mind is closed. And when the heart is closed, the mind is open. So in our chanting, we have to chant from the heart. See which deities we are attracted to, our heart is attracted to. And we have to chant for their pleasure so that we don't deal with the mind. Prabhupada never told us to deal with the mind. You just hear the mantra, you vibrate the mantra and hear the mantra. There is no question of the mind, he said. You should hear, this is called samadhi. If you chant and hear, then your mind is interlocked by hearing and chanting. This is called samadhi. Samadhi means trance. Trance means completely absorbed in. And in fact, how do you know that you are chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra? You will know when you are only hearing the mantra and you are not hearing any other voice. If even somebody calls you, you'll be conscious, oh, he's calling my name. And you hear that. That means you are not hearing the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. So much absorption in the mantra is there. You are lost in the name. You are lost contact with this world. But we are battling every day, trying to sit and trying to hear attentively, and sleep is troubling us. That is our situation. So we have to come to this point of samadhi. So by hearing and chanting, acting both ways, you will be in trance, and that trance will keep you in the transcendental stage. This is called samadhi. So if we become inattentive, that is a offense. So if you are inattentive, then it will be an offense. So Prabhupada in the lecture on 10 offenses speaks about this. So how many of you have here your japa beads? All of you have your japa beads? Yeah, so let's look at this mantra and try to sit in a proper posture. And my advice to you, all of you, is please sit in a proper posture and looking at the mantra card. Just see the mantra card and chant attentively. Chant attentively. So everyone can just look at the screen here, TV screen, and chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Don't look down, look up. This, screen is also on top, that's also good. You have to look at the mantra which is on the screen and chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Please don't close your eyes also. Okay, you can stop. We did this exercise just to show you what exactly constitutes offense. Now you can all observe that when this first mantra card was being played and you're chanting, you're able to see the mantra and chant. But secondly, when the second picture came, it was not so much of a distraction. It's a picture of Kusum Sarovar and you don't understand what is written in the Chinese language, right? But when this third came, immediately what did the mind do? It read. And somebody was smiling there after reading, right? So you hear that voice you hear. Don't correct a fool, he will hate you, right? So you are reading that, and also the mantra you are vibrating with your tongue. So have you heard the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra? No. This constitutes offense, just to point out that. So all these 16 divisions of voices multiplied by millions, unlimited samskars are there in the chitta. The vasanas are there in the heart, in the antakaran. And these are utis, these are karma vasanas. And only when you try to make a sincere endeavor to hear the mantra, because in the chitta these vasanas are there and the chitta will go in that direction. And we are trying to hear the Naam. And with our sincere endeavor, when we try to hear, the Lord helps us. And when we hear the mantra will enter the heart and Chaito Darpan Marjanam will happen. But if we don't endeavor and we hear the mind's voice, then that constitutes what? Offense. So this is what is Nam Aparad, Pramad. So Prabhupada says, when one becomes devotee, beginning from the tongue, Jivado, by chanting Hare Krishna Mantra, Sevan Mukhe Jivado, Swayam Eva Spurit, the Lord will manifest in the heart. He becomes revealed. Ena Nam Say Krishna. That is the perfection of chanting without offense. So Krishna will reveal himself. Actually, when you are taking the Naam, first understanding you should have is the name is a person. I am calling personally Krishna. And the mood of how we call with affection. How does the mother call the child? How does she call? Call the name of the child. How do you call parents, your children, when you call their names? It is imbued with affection. So that mood which we chant. So this, you have to come to this perfection stage. But to come to this stage, we have to cross what? The Namaprad stage. Namaprad stage. Then you will find name is non-different from Krishna. When you are chanting, you will find Krishna is dancing on your tongue. This is the conclusion. So we have to learn how to chant. So this is what Prabhupada speaks about, actually Shuddha Nam. I am not going to the Shuddha Nam because that's very, very advanced stage. But Prabhupada says, still we are in the Namaprad stage. Don't be disappointed. Go on chanting. You will come to the right position, Namabhas. Then Shuddha Nam. Everything requires gradual development. So basically, because of these unlimited samskars, when you are chanting, the karma vasanas or the impressions are, voices are speaking and they are pulling you in another direction. And you are trying to take the mind towards the name. So this is the battle we are going through. So Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur in his Harinam Chintamani article mentions there are three kinds of pramad. Audasinya, Jad and Vikshep. Audasinya, Jad and Vikshep. Audasinya means we are indifferent to the name. We show indifference. And this is a very, very subtle, deep conditioning of the soul. Just like two devotees, when they have some fight, they although see each other, but they, act as though they have not seen each other. They show some indifference. You all have experience of this? So similarly, we show indifference to the Lord in the form of holy name. But we don't maintain that indifference to the karma vasanas. In this life, we have attraction for ice cream. We are chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra and somebody comes with an ice cream. We don't become indifferent to it. We leave our chanting and go and attend to the ice cream. And because we have no taste and attraction for Krishna's holy name, which is pure like nectar, we show indifference to Krishna. That is the root cause. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur mentions Chitta Ekadike, Nama Ekadike. The Chit is going in one direction to do things, list. And Nam is going in one direction. So what is the solution for this? What is the solution he speaks? So this is the Namaprad stage which we have to cross. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur gives solution in his Harinam Chintamani how one should chant with great care, with great attention, until one has reached the stage of Anurag, great attraction. That means until one has reached the stage of Asakti, one has to take great care in not committing offense while chanting. One should chant the mantra very, very carefully, he says. So again, I'll skip this because this is about perfect chanting. So as I was mentioning, in the Harinam Chintamani, there is pramad, inattention, which is the root cause of all anarthas. First is audasinya, indifference or no attention. Second is jad, laziness, sleep. The mode of ignorance troubles us. This is one of the biggest problems devotees face, right? And then there is vikshep. Generally, we are dealing with vikshep. Vikshep is what? Distraction. The mind going from one thought to another thought, like a monkey jumping from one branch to another branch. But actually, vikshep is the grossest of the pramads. The subtlest is indifference. We maintain a kind of indifference to the holy name. We are not careful that this is actually Krishna. This is Krishna in his holy name. Krishna is personally present when I call his name. Actually, when you call Krishna's name, Krishna comes running from the spiritual world. But what happens? Our consciousness is not fixed on him. It turns to something else because of the karma vasanas. Then Krishna leaves. What happens when the lover and beloved are sitting in the garden and the lover is absorbed in the beauty of the beloved and his attention turns to something else? What happens then? She will become upset, right? And she will leave the place. So Krishna is in the heart as super soul. And he can see where your consciousness is. Whether it is fixed on him or material objects. And when our chitta goes to some other, our attention goes to something else, then Krishna leaves. And you are taking the name, but it is not the name. Naam akshar loy, naam na loy. So you commit what is called as namaprad prama. So this is the root. And jad is laziness. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur in the Harinam Chintamani gives solution for jad. To sit in front of Tulsi, sit in front of sadhus, sit in a holy place and, chant very attentively. And then he gives solution for vikshep. Vikshep, there is no other solution except to chant continuously and become free from distractions. Because vikshep is basically the mode of passion. The mind which is very active or hyperactive. So like that, in this workshop, what we discuss, we practically spend an entire day discussing audasinya, indifference. And second day we discuss jad. And the third day we discuss vikshep. And what solution Bhaktivinoda Thakur gives for all these three. And then, on the fourth day we try to do these techniques of how to chant with attention. So I'm just going to present one technique, how to chant with attention. So this is one sutra, one mantra, one bead. So Prabhupada says, Krishna conscious movement means that we are teaching our disciples how to think of Krishna. How many hours? 24 hours. This is Krishna consciousness. What is Krishna consciousness? When you are able to think about Krishna 24 hours. That means you are Krishna conscious. If you want to know the test whether you are Krishna conscious, this is the test. Even in Jagrat, even in Swapna, and even in Shushupti, you should be conscious of Krishna. That is Krishna consciousness. Please don't take Krishna consciousness very lightly. Tasmat sarveshu kaleshu mam anusmara yuddhacha. Anusmara is there, not smara. Anusmara, continuous remembrance. And Prabhupada says the simple method is what? Chant the Hare Krishna mantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So this process, we have got this bead bag, and within this bag there is beads. We chant each. We capture each bead and chant. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram. So Prabhupada is talking about something to capture each bead. What does this mean to capture each bead? We'll try to understand this. Very, very important, because you have to chant with attention, right? And hear only the mantra. So what is this? We'll just look into it. One bead equals 16 times. There are 16 names, right? That is one bead. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare. So the whole bead chain, there is 108. So one round means 1700. So 16 into 108, that is 1728. In this way, our disciples are advised to chant at least 16 rounds. That is our daily duty. It takes about 2 hours, and after that, we are engaged in so many other businesses. Somebody is typing, printing books, somebody is going to sell books, somebody is collecting subscriptions, somebody is cooking for the temple, DT, Radha and Krishna. So in this way, our inmates, our members are always engaged. Kirtaniya Sada Hari. Chanting japa must be done early in the morning with full concentration, preferably during the Brahma Muhurt time. It is very, very amazing and mystical. The Brahma Muhurt time is the time which is, there is a mode of goodness is prominent. Right? And even in this kind of mode of goodness, when we sit to chant, we go to sleep. That means how much the mode of ignorance is there deep rooted in the heart. Deep rooted in the heart. So it has to be done with full concentration. Concentrate fully on the sound vibration and of the mantra and pronouncing each name distinctly, and gradually your speed in chanting will increase naturally. Do not worry so much about chanting fast. Most important is hearing the mantra. A devotee should always be grave and silent, which means that he only discusses topics relating to Krishna consciousness. Yes, spend your time chanting and reading and taking Krishna Prasadam, automatically your tongue will come under control. If you sincerely engage 24 hours daily in this devotional service according to the instructions of the spiritual master, chant daily 16 rounds, attend the Aarti ceremony of Lord Krishna, associate with the devotees and adhere strictly to the regulative principles, and Krishna will reveal himself personally to you. So what does it mean to capture each bead? I'm just trying to show you now this. This is one sutra I'm just introducing here in this discussion. That means when you're chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, you have to chant in the mode of goodness. Because only in the mode of goodness you can hear the mantra. What happens to us, I'm telling my own experience. Usually when I'm in a vehicle driving in the train or driving in the car, I don't chant. But one time it was my experience that I was driving a sannyasi to the airport, and you're sitting backside, I was in the front and the driver was driving. So I just removed my beads and I started chanting. And the drive was 1 hour to the airport and it was getting late. So the driver was driving a BMW at 120 speed. And the sannyasi told, drive fast. So suddenly from 120 he shifted to 140 and 150. And moment that time my bead chanting speed also suddenly increased. So what happens is when you take your beads and start chanting, the mode of passion acts and you try to go ahead. Instead of chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, vibrating Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, and capturing that one bead, you try to go ahead. Because the movement of your fingers is faster compared to the vibration of the mantra. And you go ahead. And many devotees have done experiments of those who are chanting 20 years. They have recorded their chanting and they have found that they don't chant the complete 16 names and not the 108 mantras. It is 90, 80. Because you have what? Skipped the beads and gone ahead. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. You have skipped 2 beads already. To stay on that bead, it requires tremendous amount of mode of goodness. And it requires tremendous potency just to hear that mantra. So you have to chant in the mode of goodness. And this is the formula. I just mentioned that, there are 16 names and there is 108 here, of course. And when experiments were done, we found nobody was chanting 108. And these are all senior devotees, Bhakti Shastri, Bhakti Vaibhav teachers, preachers, having lot of congregation and youth preaching. And they are not able to have this figure of 108 in their one round of the Hare Krishna mantra. So, the formula is that you lock the mantra bead when you chant the 16 names. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. I am holding this, locking it here, just like the gear. The ratchet locks onto that gear, teeth. So generally what happens is, moment you take your beads, it's like putting the gears, accelerator. The mode of passion increases and you try to go ahead. Just hold on to that bead and lock the bead till you utter the 16th name. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And then only move to the next bead and then start with the Hare Krishna. In fact, it is very difficult even in the 16 names what you take, even to hear one name, that Hare. Even if you hear that and enters the heart, it will have impact. So the whole discussion what I was trying to bring out is that these karma vasanas which are there, the only way, the express powerful method to purge these all impressions is by chanting the holy names, and especially attentively chanting the holy name. So in our discussion of this Nama Pramad, we bring out what exactly constitutes Pramad, these three types of Pramad, and how one should become free from this Pramad so that one can attentively hear the Mahamantra and ultimately chant the name. Name means Shuddhani. And you can chant the name only when your chit is nirmal, when the heart is pure. That means there are no vasanas. So your Namapara chanting will never eradicate the vasanas. Only when you chant attentively, then you start Namabhas. With that Namabhas chanting, the reflection of the name's potency will start purifying the heart. The chit will start becoming nirmal. And when the chit becomes completely nirmal, Swayam Eva Spurit, the Nam will manifest from the heart. And that name, which is chanted from the spiritual tongue of the soul, the spiritual tongue of the soul will manifest on the Jiva tongue, and Krishna will dance on that tongue. And that name will ultimately be the perfection of life, Shuddhanam, by which we can go back to the spiritual world. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Grantraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Shri Nam Prabhu ki jai, Shri Harinam Chintamani ki jai. Any questions, any clarifications anyone has? Yes. So Prabhuji's question is that you mentioned that there are 16 layers covering the soul. There are, 16 avaranas, layers. So this is there, Shodashaka avarana, Jivasya avaranam. And these 16 layers are the 5 gross elements: earth, water, fire, air, ether. The 5 Jnanendriyas, we have the 5 Jnanendriyas, the 5 Karmendriyas, and then there is the mind. Okay, then there is the mind. The mind is the 16th, and then there is the soul. So how to penetrate these layers is a workshop which we discuss for 3 days. It's not possible that we discuss this in few minutes. These are basically, the Panchakoshas, the Annamaya, Pranamaya, Manamaya, Vijnanamaya, and the Anandamaya. We are conscious about only food because we are on the bodily concept. We are on the earthly layer. So, how to transcend these koshas, the coverings? Yes, you have to penetrate the mind. That is the last battle of the battles, which we never battle. We give it up. That is the most difficult one, which we have to. But what to speak, even if you transcend the bodily layers over a period of time and master it, and you chant attentively, you will attain tremendous success in your chanting. Is it okay for now? Any other clarifications anyone has? Yes, Keshav Kripasan Guruji. Yes. Yes. Correct, correct. Uh, uh, correct. Someone. Yes. Yeah, very interesting question. That with basic knowledge and faith, one should be chanting, and then that chanting, you should now. Well, uh, as far as what I have read in the Sri Harinam Chintamani, we had a verse by verse discussion. Bhaktivinoda Thakur speaks about, Nama Tattva. That Nama Tattva is itself Sambandha Gyan. Nama Tattva. And he goes, Nama Grahana Vichar. What is how one should Nam Grahan, how one should take the name. And then an entire topic he gives of Namabhas, the Tattva of Namabhas. So this constitutes Sambandha Gyan. This constitutes Sambandha Gyan. And when it comes to Namaprad Pramad, which is discussed in the 13th chapter, he speaks about again that Sambandha Gyan. Nam Grahana Vichar. How do you take the name? Like when you're taking the name, how do you know that you have Sambandha Gyan? That when you're taking the name, you're taking so carefully and you're very careful not to commit offense. But while taking the name, you're casually taking it, that means you don't have the Sambandha Gyan. So you're not rooted in the Sambandha Gyan only then. Abhinnatvam Nama Nami. Now we have heard this, right? It's not that nobody has not heard it. We have this. But when we sit to take the name, we are not in that consciousness. Right? So somehow the avidya is so deep rooted. So that is why Srila Prabhupada in the Chaitanya Charitamrita purport, he mentions that one who is chanting Namabhas can realize that the holy name is non-different from the Lord and is very attentive not to commit offense. So one is the Sambandha Gyan which we chant, although we don't have that realization. When we have that realization, we are very careful not to commit. But in the stages, in the beginning stages, although we have that Sambandha Gyan, but because of avidya and the vasanas, there is aparadha which happens. And that's why it becomes difficult to cross that stage. It becomes difficult to cross that stage. Bhanu Maharaj in that whole presentation also makes a point that if one is chanting Namaprad, one makes no progress, he says. Only by Namabhas, he starts making progress, he says. Very clearly he mentions. And same is what Bhaktivinoda Thakur is saying here. So how many of us, all we know that, we have hearing that, name is not different from Krishna. But when we start to take the name, we can observe how many are in that consciousness. That we are, we don't divert our consciousness from hearing the name to anything else. For that, you need that realization. So the Sambandha Gyan is there, the theoretical knowledge. With that we should begin, but then the realization, the Gyan is there, but that Vigyan has to happen. For that, our sincere efforts, although I don't have this realization, but that sincere efforts, Krishna sees that, and then slowly, sometimes he can, suddenly open up those layers and you hear the name and you'll experience nectar. You'll experience nectar. Prabhupada was on a flight with many of his disciples, his secretary and other sannyasis. And in that flight, they were playing something, on the screen there. And the devotees had to catch up on their rounds and they were trying to chant and they're going to sleep. And then Prabhupada blasted at them, why are you sleeping in your chanting? Prabhupada, we are very tired, No, that's not the reason. The real reason is you don't have taste. See this materialist? They have taste for sense enjoyment and that's why they are alert in their sense enjoyment. They are not sleeping. Because you are not alert to the spiritual, for giving spiritual enjoyment to Krishna, that's why you are not experiencing the taste. Otherwise, even if you are completely exhausted, whole day doing service and you are fully exhausted, you just take one name and all the sleep will be gone. And you are absorbed in Nam Ras. But that doesn't happen for us. What to speak, fresh early in the morning we take the beads and what happens to us? The mode of ignorance prevails on us. That is our situation. It's because we have not have taste. So the realization also has to come that Sambandha Gyan is when it is realized knowledge also. So we have to go to that level. And at least theoretically we should begin. That's why Prabhupada says one should chant with care, carefulness, with caution, not to commit the offense of inattention. And then he says your life will be successful. Is it okay? Yes. Last question. Can you speak a little loudly, please? Or is there a mic? No, basically the point what I'm trying to make is that when the mind's voice speak that I'm hungry, I'm thirsty, that means you're conscious of the mind's voice. That means you're not able to hear the mantra. You have heard the voice of the mind. That means you have not heard the mantra. That constitutes offense. Now, of course, to chant, now whatever is needed, we need to do. It doesn't mean that you take a break for 1 hour and go and take prasad. Whatever is needed at that position, if you're feeling thirsty, you drink water. But generally, somebody who is absorbed in the chanting is not conscious about any of the needs of the body. He's not even aware whether it is day or night. So that point you have to come to. That kind of absorption. That is kind of trance. So that's a very, very elevated stage. Very, very elevated stage. So that's why I just wanted to make a point that these layers, when you are conscious of these voices, that means you have heard the mind's voice and not heard the mantra. That constitutes offense. Okay? Okay, so thank you very, very much. Granthra Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. The solution is Kintu Adarat Anudinam. Swadvi Kramat. You chant with Adar, understanding that the name is non-different from the Lord, and do it Anudinam, although you don't have taste. Then gradually the taste will come. Krishna will see that sincerity and then gradually he'll give you that glimpse, that taste. Okay? Okay. Hare Krishna.